So in this week's Suborder review, we're going to be looking at the 2017 race board from RRD, the Razzle Dazzle, and this one is a 12.6 by 25. The Italian brand RRD are well known around the world for making good quality water sports equipment and also having a fashion side to their brand too. This is their brand new 2017 race board, 12'6" long, 25 inches wide. The thickness of the board we measured at approximately about 7.5 inches, 221 litres in volume. This board weighs just under 10 kilograms. And it retails at €2,995, which is about £2,595. Obviously the overall design of the board is designed to be as fast as possible, generally in a flat water environment with slight surface chop. The board is made from an EPS foam core and a full carbon laminate wrap, and all of the RRD boards are hand finished. A bit more information about the paint job as well, just in case you might have seen it in other pictures. Back in the days in 1918, the British Navy in World War I had some of their warships painted in this style, and that's what RRD have taken the influence from. So moving on to the Suborder impressions of the RRD Razzle Dazzle 12.6 by 25. Straight out the box, this board has an outstanding look and finish, as with all the RRDs do, so that comes as standard. But the look of this board in the black and white graphics are fantastic, and we get lots of comments from lots of different people paddling it, and also people that have watched it being paddled, how stunning it looks on the water. So we think the black and white finish is really funky and really top notch. You know I'm probably going to say about white patches on the board, and it is a bit of a nightmare to keep clean, but if you're a racer and it's your pride and joy, you're probably going to have no worries getting out the scrubbing brush once in a while and getting it gleaming back up to its white and black glory. In front here of your standing area, you've got a single plug there, which you can obviously put your GoPro, your water bottle, other GPS mounts and stuff like that, which are located in there. Nice deep recessed carry handle in the center of the board. Either side of the carry handle, you have the strips of Crocodile EVA deck grip. Very comfortable underfoot and very grippy. And another little styling feature like RRD had done, all of the deck grip has a nice 45 angle bevel around the rail, which is really stuck down. It just adds a bit more style to the quality of the board. Moving to the back, when the deck grip ends, you have non-slip which starts, which is incredibly grippy. Many of you guys might have used it on other SUP boards or windsurfing boards. It's that style of deck grip. Double leashing point at the back, obviously you can use one or two, that's totally up to you. We've had this board a while, so we've been using it pretty heavily. It's even been in a few SUP races. The board itself is incredibly hard wearing. There's a few paddle scuffs, but there's no cracks, no dings, and there's definitely no sort of indentations into the carbon at all. So we're really happy with the quality of the board. There's no paddle guards on it, there's no stickers on it, it's just as it is, and it's had about a month and a half's use, and it's looking really good. Looking at the overall shape compared to last year's Razzle Dazzle, they have changed the board quite a bit. The board last year was very flat and it had a recessed deck. This time it has a scooped recessed deck, so you're standing actually inside the board and your rails will carry up around the side of you. Obviously that makes the board a little bit more stable in chop and you don't get so much water onto the deck. They've smoothed and rounded off the nose section a bit more. Last year's was very flat, so it disperses water off at the nose, especially around the front section, really well if you go on tiny little downwind chops in that sort of flat water race environment. Sometimes you have downwind sections, the water does spear off, and also if you're going into wind, the water comes off the nose really well. So looking at the bottom of the board, you can really see RRD and their team have put a lot more work into this board than we think probably they would have done last year. We're not sure about that, but this board really shows a lot of design and R&D has gone into this. If we get our straight edge, so we move up to the nose, it has a very small wave piercing nose right at the front. Then you move back here and the nice general sort of dome comes in, which is obviously just designed to displace the water off the side without producing any drag. As soon as you get to the RRD logo, the board turns completely flat. So then at this point here, it's trying to generate speed. And here you're starting to get a slight concave to hold the water to give you a bit of lift in the center. Get to the midsection, starts to change again. It's still a bit more of a concave in the center there. From this section now to the back, it all changes altogether again. So now back again, the concave gets spread out, just back where you'd be sort of standing when you're doing your sort of step back turns. it starts to flatten out in the center and then go to a double concave. So it's gone from a single concave to double concave, and then right at the back, just before the fin, it goes into a V. So we've got all different shapes going on, from domed, flat, single concave, double concave to V. And then just as the fin starts, you enter, there's a channel and a chine which starts at the back there, which is designed to channel the water in and make the water release off the tail with the least amount of drag as possible. Probably confused the hell out of you, but basically it really shows that RRD have been sanding, channeling, smoothing down, testing and putting a lot of work into this board. And as with all SUP boards at the moment, there is no right or wrong combination of concaves and convexes. It's just that the brand's trying out lots of different things. From our point of view, we think it's fantastic, because if you're putting your hand in your pocket to get your money out, I want to see a brand who's working for me and actually putting a lot into their board. And looking at the fin, it comes with a nice all-round, slightly swept back but quite wide-based honeycomb fin, nice and light, really well suited for the average paddler in average all-round flat water conditions. And lastly, looking at the rail shape, a nice smooth rail at the nose so it doesn't catch or throw you off in slightly choppy conditions. Moving back, still lightly smooth but starting to get a little bit sharper, not as sharp as some other race boards in the market. Moving back to the tail and finished off with a slam square tail to help that speed as much as possible. Looking at the performance of the Razzle Dazzle, so it is designed for more of that flat water racing, but to be honest, we think with that slight tiny bit of nose kick, you would be able to use it in sort of quite severe choppy flat water races. Will Rogers from Suborder used it at the head of the Dart SUP race, which he did a month ago, and you can see there from his tracks on the screen he has an average speed of just under 10 kilometers an hour or 6 miles an hour over at an average paddleboard race. And I think that race actually did manage to scrabble himself into second, which for a non-paddleboard racer is not too bad. He was really happy with this board. He did find it nice and stable, and also when other people have been testing it, for the width of 25 wide, it does offer quite a large amount of stability. Moving on to the maneuverability of the board, because it's got the softer rail at the nose and it hasn't got a very locked in bow, it does mean that the board can turn very easily, so you can change angle of attack if you are finding that you are going off slightly. It's very easy to change sides and straighten yourself back up. Some other full-on flat water race boards with the full-on strike sort of nose on them, and the rails do tend to bite and they go very, very well in a straight line, but they're very hard to change angles. So it lends itself to an average sort of intermediate advanced paddler who has a nice general good paddling stroke. As far as step back turns are concerned, it has a nice sort of square tail that's relatively wide compared to its overall width, that offers you a nice amount of stability and standing area for you put your turn in there. Negatives or downsides? Well, we've got one negative, and it's mainly going to be aimed at the really geeky SUP racer that's worried about weight reduction. It does hold a little bit of water around the standing area and obviously also in the handle. Now, it's going to be a tiny amount of water, but it is going to make a difference to the overall weight of the board. So if you're one of those guys that has a race bike with a carbon fiber bottle holder, that's something you're going to be aware about. It's a very minute thing, but that's the only negative we found on this board. The value for money question, well, it does sit pretty much exactly at the same price point as the other top end boards in the market. If so, it's probably a little bit cheaper than some others. So yes, it is a value for money board. The overall SUPboarder verdict, well, RRD have definitely upped their game as far as race boards are concerned with this board, the Razzle Dazzle for 2017. A lot more development's gone into the board, and you can see it and feel it on the water. A very nice product that sits at a good price point compared to other top end brands in the market. We're going to give it 4.5 stars for the RRD Razzle Dazzle. So there you go, guys. I hope you found that one interesting and informative, and it's given you a really good insight into the RRD Razzle Dazzle for 2017. Remember, if you want to find out a bit more about this board, check out SUPboarder Pro. Otherwise, subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit SUPboarder Mag for more SUP goodness.